All right, guys, so in this video, I'm going to be telling you just a little bit about who I am as well as a bit of my founding story. So I think the best place to start out with, as far as this founding story goes, is with the idea that as a young kid, I always thought there was going to be something big for me to do in the world. I wasn't sure what it was. I wasn't sure when it would happen, but I just always had this feeling that I was going to grow up and do something really cool. And so whenever people would ask me, what I wanted to do when I grew up, I think I'd just say pretty much the coolest things that I could think of, whether it was like mad scientist or nanotechnologist. There's always something in the sciences. I really like science, but it's like I just had this feeling, something cool is going to happen. Something cool is going to be my career path. And fast forward a couple years, I found myself in a similar position as Ben. I was at BYU. I was just home from a church mission, and I declared myself a chemical engineering major, which obviously is a pretty far cry from where I am right now. I started into those classes and I enjoyed the content. I did well in the courses. I was pulling A's, but I felt pretty compelled, even during that first semester of college, over to the business side of things. Like I'd go to class and instead of just being super enthused by the principle we were learning, I was like, whoa, that could be a business idea. And so I switched my major from chemical engineering into entrepreneurial management and have really never looked back, never switched it again. That was done, at the very, very beginning of my career in college. And so in my first semester of college, as far as founding goes, I actually started up a company before I ever uh, met Ben or joined Glide or anything to do with window washing. And it was, again, a far cry from where I am here. It's funny how life goes. But I started up a winter apparel company. And we designed a product, did a pretty good Kickstarter. We were feeling good about ourselves. We'd raised some good money, ordered the product. It came just in time for Christmas. Like literally, I was going to the airport and was banging on this guy's door because they hadn't been good about communicating, and they were closing. Like it was 4:30 p.m. They were closing at 5 p.m. It was December 21st for Christmas. We had 2 day shipping lined up. We hadn't had our product yet, and we finally were able to go and get it. And it was a Christmas miracle. The worker there literally used his own truck to help us drive boxes and boxes of apparel home. And so, everything was like falling into place. I thought that the biggest challenge was going to be on the technical side. Like, hey, how do you design winter apparel? How do you design ski gloves? How do you design beanies, etc.? I'd never considered myself a designer and much less any sort of fashion connoisseur. And pretty much I was like, yes, this is all falling into place as it's meant to be, just feeling good about life. Kickstarter went well. We shipped off all the gloves, all the beanies, everything got there in time for Christmas. And then the rest of the season, we sold hardly anything, like maybe another 10 items, like $100, $200, $300 worth of stuff. And that was it. And it was really hard actually, because as a founder, like one of the things that's the hardest is when the business isn't actually going well. Like one of the check-in questions that people always have, it's like, hey, how was your day? What's new in life? Oh, and how's your business going? Like every conversation, that's always how it goes. And when your business is going great, it's fantastic. You're beaming, you're smiling from ear to ear. You can't wait for them to ask that question, right? When the business isn't going super well and you're like, yeah, I haven't sold anything since last month, it can be painful. And that was kind of my experience, honestly, as a founder, is I dove straight in. It was literally my first semester in college that I'd done all of this. And past convincing friends and family to kind of feel bad for us and support us through a Kickstarter, I hadn't yet figured out how do you actually sell a product. And I discovered that, after our first winter had gone through, I was like, dang, I really got to figure this out. I got to figure out how to go and sell a product. So pretty much fast forward a year and a half later, we'd been through another winter of me not really being able to sell or market anything effectively. And I was like, this has got to stop. Like I've either got to go and learn how to sell, or I got to shut this thing down, and maybe I should reconsider going back into a different field of business rather than owning my own business. Maybe I go back into engineering. I was looking all around me and was like, there's so many better options than just struggling through this. And anyways, what I decided to do is I was going to continue on the entrepreneurial course, but I thought if I'm going to, start up anything, I need to learn how to sell. I need to learn how to market. And so I had a friend who approached me and he said, hey, do you want to come out and do some pest control sales? And I was like, no, that's the furthest thing from my mind. I don't want to go do door to door. I was like, maybe I want to learn how to sell, but there's got to be, a different way to learn how to do that, because I had a pretty big stigma in my mind, and I really admired this guy, but just like the stigma behind door to door, it was a thing at the time of, you got your classic sales bro, and it's just like that's not who I am. Anyways, things fell into place. I ended up going out with him and a couple of other friends, many of whom, in fact, most of whom I would say at this point either currently work or have worked for Glide. So it's really kind of a fun switch around there. But went out, did some pest control sales, loved the group that I was with. Again, the industry maybe wasn't my favorite. We're doing pest control. It was like everybody already had a pest control service. You're just trying to convince them that your company was, half an inch better than the company they were currently using. And long story short, picked up some really good sales skills. Did actually really well, all things considered, and was feeling good about myself. Came back, was planning to continue with the winter apparel business. But there was a little bit of an intervention that took place in my life at that point, which was my brother was a week or two home from his mission, and he really, really wanted to start up a business, and he wanted it to be a service business. In fact, his idea was gutter cleaning. So he starts gutter cleaning, and he realizes about the same thing, that he doesn't have all the skills necessary to start a business. So what does he do? Well, he goes and works for somebody, and he tries to gain a little bit of experience, and then through a course of a couple of interactions, ends up meeting Ben Barlow, who you just heard from. And Ben, at this point, Nick LeBaron, who is his partner, had gone and taken a job somewhere else. He took a finance job, completely different industry, right? And so Ben was kind of left alone, where he was running the operations, but didn't really have somebody on sales. And Josh, my brother, says, "Hey, look, I'll come and be your head of sales." I think those were the literal words he used. Is, "I'll come and be your head of sales." Just really ambitious, a lot of energy, a lot of spunk. Ben's like, "Sure, can go knock yourself out," and Josh pretty much does. He gives it a go for a couple of weeks, and pretty soon I get a call from him saying, "Hey, Nate, I think I have an opportunity for you. Come and sell with this company." At the time it was called Barlow Window Bros. "Come sell for Ben." And I said, "Look, I'm really done. I'm pretty burnt out with the door-to-door experience. Like, it was a good chapter of my life, but I consider that chapter of my life pretty closed." And anyway, long story short, my brother, who's a good salesman and was persistent, and said, "No, just come and do it." And so I went and was pretty blown away, like, that first time. In pest control, just for a little bit of context for you, is like a really good day in 8 straight hours of knocking. I'd sell like 3 accounts. So an account every like 2 hours, 2.5 hours or so. And window washing from the very first day, with nobody teaching me a script or anything, I was selling the same type of contract, the same agreement in not 2.5 hours, but in 1 hour. It was an account every single hour that I was putting on. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, how has nobody done this before? And anyways, I continued to test it out. That semester was a little bit crazy for me. Had a lot going on, but I maybe showed a little bit of grit and just knocked. I was like, hey, I'm going to set this time to go do it. And then I actually did it. I think that's how you get anywhere in life, really. That's a principle that I abide by, is like, you just show up. I just showed up that semester, and the pattern continued. It was like an account an hour. At that point, I said, I'm committing. Like, let's work something out. I talked to Ben, and I was like, Ben, at this point, my brother had gotten pretty busy with school and was more or less out of the picture. But I said, Ben, what could we work out if I were to come in and literally 10x what you're doing right now? Like, what if we were to 10x this or 20x it? And we struck a great deal to become partners if I could make that happen. And so, long story short, I built out a team on the sales end. We did a first summer of sales. On the sales end, just as a little aside, one of the ways that we found success is we're pretty different. We're pretty differentiated from most door-to-door sales teams. Like, we avoid the bro culture like pretty heavily. We take guys on who are just full of integrity, full of, like I was saying for the technicians, it's the same thing. High moral standards, a high, just built with a strong moral fiber. And we found success in that. The sales we put on, I don't really have to worry, like, was this person lied to? It's like, no, I know these people individually, and they're good people, and they don't. There's miscommunications, of course, but it's like the culture we have has been awesome in the door-to-door realm. So we did a first summer, had a lot of success, came out the next summer and did about 2x, 2.5x even, what we'd done the summer beforehand. And at this point, we're a couple of months out from going into our third summer, where we're looking again to pretty much 2x, maybe even 3x the amount of sales that we're able to put on. So it's been a really fun journey in that way. And lot of hard moments, a lot of moments where you're unsure whether it's going to work out or not. But as an entrepreneur, that's really what it is. You just keep taking some stumbling steps into the dark, and things have really worked out to the point where, at this point, I can see the light. It's like this is going to work. Just about every key assumption of our business has been tested, and barring some catastrophe, like we're in a really, really good spot. So I want to round this video out because this is also supposed to be an about me video. I want to round out myself to you by telling you just a couple of things that I really like to do. So obviously, I like the business side of things. I love the numbers. I'm very analytical. I love the science of it. I like the marketing. I like the sales. I like the accounting even. As strange as that is, I love seeing things neat and orderly and precise, like the finance side where you're projecting out, what are you going to be able to do? It's where you find a lot of motivation to keep yourself going as well. So, I love business. Aside from business, like Ben, I love the outdoors. Like, catch me on any weekend that I'm free, like in the mountains. That's where I'm going to be. I'm hiking. I'm skiing. I'm actually going to start into probably the 7 summits here, which is to climb the highest summit on each continent. I leave for my first one of those in 2 weeks. So we'll see how that one goes. That one's always up to a little bit of chance, but love to put my name on that list of people who've done it. And I'd say, outside of that, business and sports and the outdoors and hiking and all those stuff, like I love them all. But I think what I love the most is just being able to help other people. Like that's really who I am when on a very, very fundamental and maybe deep level is like at the end of the day, where I find the most satisfaction and personal joy is just knowing that, I've been able to help somebody throughout that course of that day, that I've been able to lift somebody, add a little bit of light to somebody's life. And all my partners are on the same page. Like you can tell it as soon as you meet a guy like Ben or like Britton or like Brian, like it doesn't matter. Everybody's on the same page with that. And that's one of the things that I think keeps me going with Glide is that we're a window washing company. We're not just a window washing company. It's like every interaction that you're having, whether it's on the sales team, on the customer service team, on the technicians team, which you're being trained and onboarded for here. Every interaction that you have is an opportunity to lift somebody and make their day a little bit better. That's what I love doing, and if that's you as well, then you're in the right spot. So it's a little bit about me, my founding story, and we'll see you guys on the other side.